Everyone. Just those that haven't met me before, I'm Steve Gard. I'm the founder of Benchmarks. We're a talent competitive intelligence platform. I'm an ex-head of TA, so I've been in role. And yeah, today we're really sort of tackling what is the impact of ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot when candidates are doing research on your employer brand. So without any further ado, we'll get started. Um, Hopefully you can see my screen. By the way, the chat box is open. Alex is going to field any questions. So just somebody give us a quick hello in the chat just to make sure that we can see that it's working. But if you've got any questions as we go through this, please please feel
Yeah.
free to shout out. Thanks,
Thanks, Andy. Thanks,
Sandy. Thanks,
Lucy.
Lucy. Thanks, everybody. Right. Okay. So the new employer brand battleground. This is the real big impact of AI powered, AI led candidate research. So how candidates are trying to find new employers and find out information about new employers. Um, and really sort of for us, this is the biggest change in candidate behavior since the internet's inception. So currently around 70% of candidates are using AI in their job search or in their recruitment, in the recruitment process somewhere. That's up from 25% 2 years ago. So it's marking a significant shift in candidate behavior. And we think it's the biggest since the internet started, really. And when we started to get job boards and stuff like that, AI is going to have the biggest impact on how candidates research and find new roles. So how do we tackle that as an employer? Because really AI has rewritten the rules around employer branding. It's changed the mechanics of how employer branding works, and we're going to be exploring that today. So, so how has candidate behavior changed? So we know historically candidates have researched employers themselves. They've gone onto Google. They've visited your career site, read Glassdoor reviews, and compared all that information manually, and they've informed or formed their own conclusions. But now increasingly, candidates are asking AI to do all that work for them. They're receiving instant summaries, instant recommendations. They're getting employee comparisons in seconds, and they're making decisions with much less effort needed. But the important shift is this: candidates are no longer looking primarily for links, content, and articles. They're looking for answers, recommendations, and guidance. And that's a huge shift in employer branding. It completely changes it because visibility alone, which is what we have on the pre-AI side of the slide here, is no longer enough. Employees increasingly need to become recommendable ready. And we talk about being recommendable ready a lot today. So what this all means is really employer brand is no longer defined by just the employers. It's defined by what AI finds about you, how it talks about you, how it positions you. So actually, employer brand is not any longer purely defined by us as employers. AI has really become your new co-creator of employer branding and your gatekeeper as well. And it doesn't just present your EVP. This is the big difference with traditional search. AI doesn't just present your EVP. It verifies it. It checks if it's credible. Then it decides whether it will show it, and then it will also decide how it shows it, how it describes you. And this is a huge, huge shift. Okay, so why do most employer branding approaches failing with AI at the moment? Well, much of employer branding today was built for the traditional, the pre AI period. So traditional search, traditional career sites. But AI evaluates employer branding and employer brands very differently. It's not looking for polished marketing language or keywords. It's looking to establish confidence signals. And this is where many employer brands are really sort of failing, because most organizations still rely on that sort of generic EVP statements or job ad statements like, we've got a great culture, we've got a supportive team, we provide great career development. Those statements are clearly too vague. AI doesn't like that, but they're also often very unsupported. There's no evidence behind them. And finally, they're also identical to all of the other employers or lots of other employers out there. And AI really struggles to confidently differentiate generic claims. So if there's lots of generic claims, AI really struggles to confidently differentiate between them all. Um, and then there's around inconsistent messaging as well. So we might have something on our careers website that isn't replicated on our job ads, or is contradicted in our Glassdoor reviews, or a section on career development or growth or whatever it might be. If we're not actually replicating that elsewhere, AI doesn't like that. So having a one-stop shop for your employer branding content now also no longer works. And the final bit on this really is we often don't have the external validation. So AI loves external validation. It will look at your career site, but it will look for external validation of what you're saying. And this is a really big gap for many employers at the moment as well. We've relied on creating our own content, but actually AI needs to validate it with somebody else first. And we'll come to that, how we do that in a second. So SEO is all about being discoverable. GEO is all about being recommendable. And that's a very different strategic challenge, because AI is not trying to show every employer, actually. It wants to just sort of give 3 or 4 recommendations. It's trying to confidently recommend the best options for whoever has asked that question. So it's a big shift. So how do AI engines build employer recommendations and answers? And the context of this works across any sort of answer or any question that you might ask an AI engine, but we're going to talk about sort of the employee branding elements of this now. So really how it works is AI engines work on signals, and they're looking for 4 really key signals. One is clarity, one is consistency, one is credibility, and the last one is repetition. So what it does is, when a question is asked, it's going out and trying to understand, is this employer answering, or can I confidently position this employer in my answer to this question? And it uses these signals to do that. So the first one is clarity. So what AI is doing is really asking the question, is it easy for me to confidently associate this employer with the specific topic of the question that has been asked? So, for example, which retail companies are best for career growth? Very broad, a very broad question, but we need to make it really obvious that yes, we are a retail company, and yes, we provide great career growth. But if we don't make it really clear, if there isn't that clarity there, AI will drop us. So how easy is it for us to be known for the things that we want to be known for? If AI needs to guess it or infer it, we actually get classed as a weak signal, and we don't want weak signals. So AI reads, we support development and help people achieve their potential. What it might ask in that really vague statement is, well, what kind of development? How do you do that? What actually happens? And actually, is this career growth at all? You mentioned support development and help people achieve potential. You don't mention careers. This could be in another setting. So AI has to guess, it has to infer the meaning. maybe this does or doesn't mean career growth. Maybe it's development in other places. Whereas sorry, and that creates that weak confidence, a weak signal. On the flip side, here's one which is a little bit stronger. So our employees regularly move between teams internally and on large responsibilities over time. So here we can see AI can clearly associate internal mobility with career growth, increased responsibility with career growth, and obviously career progression with career growth. So it's able to clearly associate what we're saying with the question that's been asked. And that creates a stronger confidence and stronger signal. So the more AI has to interpret your EVP message or whatever is out there, the weaker the signal becomes. AI prefers obvious signals over implied ones, and AI performs best when the connection between employer and the topic is explicit, it's not implied. So strong clarity signals really need to be specific. They need to be observable and directly aligned to the type of questions candidates are asking. So, for example, if there's lots of questions coming out around career development, as an example, but you're not talking about career development strongly enough in your careers website and your job ads and whatever else it might be, you're not going to get surfaced in the answer because the clarity signal is weak. Um, and yes, you've got to be easy to be associated to that particular subject. So you can influence the signal as employer brand and TA teams, but you don't fully control it because AI looks everywhere. It looks for validation outside of your own content. So you can influence the signal, but you can't fully control it because of that reason, because it looks everywhere, not just your content. So clarity generates a signal while consistency then strengthens it. AI seeks confirmation from multiple sources, and it actually views a single mention of that subject as weak. So how consistently does your clarity signal point in the same direction? I.e., how many times are we actually have we got content that aligns to that message? So our employees regularly move between teams internally and take on large responsibilities over time. The AI, ChatGPT, Claude will look everywhere for this to see if it appears in other places. So how consistent is that message, or does it only appear once? It then blends all these signals together and assesses that overall consistency. How consistent is that message? So, for example, here, this is a weak signal because we're saying our statement, but job ads aren't mentioning it. Actually, Glassdoor reviews are contradicting it. So they're saying limited progression is the sentiment. Um, uh, there's no response to those reviews. There's no news articles. There's no reference in third-party employers. There's weak clarity statement in LinkedIn Live pages. So it's only seeing it once, and that's on our careers website, for example. It's not seeing it anywhere else, and that creates a weak signal. If we take the flip side of that, here, if we've got a statement in our job ads around it, so clarity signal's been replicated. Actually, Glassdoor reviews actually are positive around progression and career progression. The sentiment is there, evidenced in other locations as well. So what AI does is look at it and it says, actually, yeah, there's consistency of message, not just on their contact site, not on their career site, sorry, but on other places as well. So it sees it as a consistent message, and that creates a strong signal. So strong consistency signals, sorry, are aligned across multiple channels, then reinforced by multiple sources, they're recognizable by AI, so AI can read them and see them, and they're repeated over time. And we'll come to repetition in a minute, but consistency is crucial because AI relies on recurring patterns. So frequent themes help AI confidently associate your employer with that particular subject. So the best employer brands intentionally foster consistency through shared themes, language, priorities, evidence, whatever it might be, across the whole sort of AI signal ecosystem. And we'll come to that in a bit. The next one is credibility. So clarity creates a signal, consistency reinforces it, credibility validates it. Because AI is not just looking for claims, it's looking for evidence. It wants to confidently be able to say, these are the top 3 employers for retail pay in London, for example. So what it's looking for is there evidence to support the signal, to support the clarity signal that was positioned? So our employees regularly move, blah, 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 the same statement again. AI now looks everywhere for evidence of it. So in this example, if we have another claim in our job ad, but no evidence, if the evidence on Glassdoor again is limited progression, that's the opposite. So that automatically makes this lack credibility in the eyes of AI. But if there's no evidence anywhere else that actually says, or even testimonials on career site that actually backs this up, it becomes a weak signal. So it could be a strong clarity signal, a strong consistent signal, but it falls down at the credibility stage. It becomes a weak signal because AI can't see any evidence at all. On the flip side, again, as an example, yeah, we've got we actually provide, career growth opportunities, and we give examples of that in job ads. We've got career development evidence and articles in other third-party publications. We've got employee stories, we've got testimonials, etc., etc. So it's really important to have that evidence to back up what you're saying to make it credible. And crucially, it's really important that this isn't just on your own content, on your own site. AIs tend to sort of devalue our own content when it's trying to create that credibility and that consistency signal. It wants to look elsewhere for it. It's really important for a good signal for AI to see that cooperation. Different sources supporting the same theme, that increases that trust. So strong credibility signals include, evidence-based support, external reinforcement, being really specific, and consistent validation within the sort of the ecosystem, the web, whatever it might be. These signals should not solely rely on that employer-generated messaging. I can't emphasize that enough. It needs to be elsewhere. And AI's confidence increases when signals are, measured. Credibility signals are measured. They're validated. They're externally reinforced. They're industry benchmark data. All of this stuff to create that credibility is really, really powerful. If you, for example, here, if you're able to show that actually we're already outperforming the industry with clear pathways for my career development question in our employee experience scores, AI loves that. That helps build that credibility. One important point to remember is silence also becomes a credibility signal. So an unanswered Glassdoor review is no longer just a sort of a candidate facing thing. It's AI sees it. And because unanswered reviews, especially negative ones, or sorry, negative reviews, contributes to AI's understanding of you, and importantly, feeds into their training data set. And actually, a well-evidenced response to a negative review can actually help counter and balance that review in AI's consideration. So if you had a negative um, review and you responded well and you just responded with evidence and you made it credible, AI actually looks at that and says, well, okay, the review was this, but the employer's saying this. And that's really why, not that it's a good practice anyway, but that's really why review responses really matter, and they're going to matter more and more because AI looks for them. And so credibility really is one of the most important GEO signals you can think of because it doesn't just evaluate whether a claim exists, it evaluates whether the claim is true, or at least eliminates the risk of it being untrue. And the strongest signals really are signals supported by multiple sources, as I said. And this is really where sort of talent, competitive intelligence becomes really powerful. Really understanding how you compare to your competitors is really powerful data. So AI is more likely to trust a signal when it repeatedly appears with evidence. Now, finally, repetition. So how frequently does AI encounter the same employer topic association? So how often are you actually being associated with a particular topic? And AI trusts those recurring patterns. So um, isolated mentions are not great. You want to be consistently being trusted in a recurring pattern for particular subjects. So whether it's, again, we use the same example, career progression. So consistency signal creates an alignment to the messaging. Repetition looks at how frequent this is coming up. So repetition really increases that familiarity. And strong reputation signals really are those frequent, they're distributed, they're reinforced, and they're sustained over time. Strong GEO performance is not created overnight. It's not just a one-off careers website refresh. It builds gradually through repeated reinforcement over time. So strong reputation signals need to work over time. They need to be improved over time. To create those trust recurring patterns. Um, and remember, AI remembers what employees are strongly associated with, but they also remember what you're not associated with or what your weak signals might be. And actually clawing them back and trying to win them back is quite hard because the stronger other employers get associated with a topic, it's harder for you to get into that 3 or 5 that are being recommended, but not impossible, but a little bit harder. Okay, so in reality, then what happens? So we've got our 4 signals in various different guises here. What is our recommendation probability in AI? Well, if we've got all strong signals, it's going to be very high. If we've got very weak signals, it's going to be very low. It's obvious. But the problem is we're up against lots of other employers, right? So it's really important that we understand that actually just because we've got what was a moderate or high probability in our last slide, actually it's now very low because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employers that are above us in terms of quality of signal for a particular question. So if AI tends to do 3 to 5 employee recommendations, even though we had an okay one, it's still not great to be honest, but we're not going to get anywhere close to being included in that answer because there are others that have got stronger signals, and AI has better confidence over them. And actually, this is a small sort of example of what can happen. What actually happens is this a lot of the time. So again, if we go back to our question of, hey, who's the best retailer for pay in London, you're going to get more than this. So this really is looking a visual look at, how competitive actually GEO becomes. You can't pay to be top of the list like you can with Google. You can't optimize with keywords. Um, this is a real competitive space to get recommended. So again, in this example, we've taken out all of the ones that don't have, four strong signals. And you'll notice that actually we've got more than our five that would normally be recommended. So what AI then does now is makes it even more competitive. It looks at these employers and it then finds the best of the best. So where are the marginal advantages for each employer? And it will whittle it down to those real top five. So it can be incredibly competitive space. And really, we've talked mainly about one of the types of queries that come up, which are those recommendation queries. So, who's the best retailer, who's the best company for career growth, what employers offer flexibility, et cetera, et cetera. But the other type of query is really that comparative or direct employer query. So, is employer X a good place to work, or which employer is better for career growth, A or B? And we're seeing this quite a lot at that sort of offer stage of process or towards the end of hiring processes where candidates may have options. So this creates a very different sort of AI behavior model, but it still uses signals. Um, it doesn't actually obviously decide whether you're going to be recommended in the answer because you are part of the question. So you're going to be in the answer anyway. Um, what it's deciding is how confidently and positively should I describe this employer? Or how should I compare this employer versus the other employer that wants to be they want this comparison on. So it's not whether you're going to be recommended. It's not whether you're going to be in the answer. It's how you're going to be positioned in that answer. So signals still apply. So signals will not exclude you from the answer, obviously, but they will shape the tone, the confidence, the positivity, the balance, the comparative positioning, the depth of what they talk about, and any actually whether they include any caveats that they feel they need to provide in their answer. So again, it's about how they're going to talk about you. And this again is a big, big change for employer brand. We're not used to that. And when employer signals are weak in these sort of in this sort of question, inconsistent or poorly reinforced, um, AI sort of softens or reduces its confidence in recommending you. It presents probably more mixed sentiment. It potentially creates more balanced positives with negatives. So it's a really important area to focus on. Just conscious of times, we've got quite a bit to go through, but just two quick examples of what a strong signal might say and what a weak signal might result in. So we'll send you these slides later so you can have a look as well. And the other thing is that when we're in that comparative query, AI is effectively weighing one employer signal ecosystem against another. So it's directly comparing each employer's signal strength, its reinforcement, its credibility, its sentiment, its reputation, and the employer with the stronger reinforcement, stronger evidence, stronger credibility, stronger comparative sentiment is likely to be the one positioned most favorably. So in comparison questions, AI becomes a comparative evaluator, not just a discovery engine. Um, so the point for this really is the strength of the signals don't just influence whether AI mentions you, it influences how AI talks about you. And just a quick slide on, what is the goal in AI in SEO? Excuse me, in SEO. SEO, sorry, GEO. SEO used to be, how do candidates find us? GEO is how do we get recommended? How do we make sure that we are one of the top 3 or 5 that are recommended by AI for any particular question that there is? And the other thing is that AI actually recommendations carry authority, and this is another reason to get this really right. And there's a big shift happening. AI recommendation changes the perceived authority. There's a psychological difference between an employer appearing as a top Google search result and an employer being recommended by AI. One feels orchestrated and possibly even paid for. The other one feels independent, it feels validated, and feels trusted. And that distinction really matters because candidates are increasingly perceive AI recommended employers as more credible, more trustworthy, and actually lower risk. So why do employers need to move now on this? We've covered quite a bit of this already, but it's really important to understand AI recommendation. It's not static, it compounds. The earlier strong signals are established, the stronger they become over time. Excuse me. So AI learns, as we've said, through repeated reinforcement and continuously reinforcing associations. That can only happen over time. So if you're as an employer repeatedly appear connected to flexibility, leadership, good culture, that association will strengthen over time. And once competitors become strongly associated with a theme, it actually becomes really hard to displace them later. So, because they've kind of got a head start on you of that recurring connection with that particular subject, actually displacing them later is a lot harder, but it can be done. But it creates a very, very different dynamic for us. And the reason to really sort of focus on this as quickly as possible really is that every new job ad that we're putting out there now, every review sponsor, every review on Glassdoor, everything that we're putting out there now has an impact on the signal that it's seeing. So whether that's positively or negatively, weak or strong content, we're pushing content out as recruiters and employer branding teams all the time. How aligned is that to our GEO strategy? So again, we're training the engines already. Everybody's training these engines already, whether voluntary or involuntary. This is probably the most important sort of competitive reality is that you can start to take a bit more control and get ahead of lots of employers that are doing this. We're hearing lots of employers saying, well, yeah, we've optimized our website for GEO, but that's not anywhere near enough, as we've already mentioned. It's a drop in the ocean because the search engines, the AI engines, sorry, will be going out and looking everywhere. Okay, so the employers who move first build AI recommendation advantage, and this is the new employer battleground, the subject of the webinar. This is what it's all about. This is the new employer battleground, and the next question is, so how do I actually solve it? This is all great, but what do I do about it? Well, one of the things we're seeing is that most employers are just sort of guessing at the moment. They don't know what their weak signals are. They're updating careers websites, they're refreshing EVPs, they're changing job ads potentially, but they're not really getting that visibility of, what are our weak signals? How are our competitors versus us? How is AI describing us across multiple questions and multiple engines compared to others? How do we compare when we're mentioned in the same sentence as X organization? They can't see if they're competitive. They can't see whether actually which themes they're winning, which ones they're not, which ones they're being recommended for, and which ones they're not. And this really is what Benchmarks is designed for. So we are a a talent competitive intelligence platform. It's about understanding how your employer brand compares to others, which is brand score, how your talent experience, whether that's candidate experience, onboarding experience, or employee experience, how does that compare with others? And this is really powerful for AI, as we've already mentioned. It provides you that evidence, but we've also in brand score got the ability to look at how are you performing in AI versus your competitors as well. So these are our two layers: brand score and talent XP. Just quickly on brand score, promise it's not going to be a big oversell, but it's a big sell, but it's important for you to see some of this, I think. So brand score analysis, this first bit is our what we call as our employer brand competitive intelligence layer. So this allows you to benchmark your employer branding content, your positioning, your careers website, your job ads, lots of different things against up to five competitors of your choice. You can see exactly how you're performing, where you're ahead, where you may need to improve. We pull back a lot of content and employee sentiment from reviews within Glassdoor, and we give you a full comparison overview. And really cool is actually we show you this is what you can do to beat them on careers websites, or this is what you could do to beat them on social media. So we actually give you insights as well. The second point, and this is really important for today, is our GEO tracking tool. So we can show you exactly what your signal strengths are. So we ask all of the engines all at once, lots of different questions that candidates want to know about, and we show how often you show up in those questions. What are your signal strengths like? We show what's your share of voice, what's your share, how invisible are you, or how visible are you? What's the sentiment like? What's AI actually saying about you? We can all do this in real time and automatically for you. We show you where you're not showing up, and then we actually show you how you can fix it as well. So, and what to fix first. So here's an example. You need to fix your credibility signal. It's the weakest one. We've then built some tools to help you do that. I won't go through this in a lot of detail, but we can build new GEO statements for you. So we take your EVP statements that are on your website and we build them into GEO optimized ones. And what's really cool about that is then you can start to put them into different online presences. So our job ad creator, we've got a job ad creator. I'll come back to that bit in a second. Sorry, our review response generator first. So we actually pull in all of your Glassdoor reviews. We show you which ones aren't answered. We then help you generate an answer through AI, feeding through GEO optimized signals into those responses. They're fully editable. Obviously, you don't just post them, but we help you build GEO optimized responses. But also with job ads, we've got a job ad creator that helps you to build and helps your recruiters to build job ads that actually attract from your competitors, but also embed GEO statements in them as well, optimized statements. So we do a market scan of who's recruiting the same role. We then show you how to or build a job ad to beat the ones that you want to, and to attract from others that you want to as well. And then finally is benchmarks. Sorry, talent XP, which is our candidate experience and employee experience benchmarking tool.